Today, we are diving into the absolutely wild story of Claude Code. This is a project that was born from one of the most talked about AI code leaks of the year. It's a tale of a single mistake, a community's incredible response, and, what happens when the secret guts of a cutting-edge AI are suddenly thrown out into the open for everyone to see.
It all kicked off with a kind of digital explosion. Just one accidental release from a huge AI company, and boom, a massive treasure trove of internal, private code was suddenly out in the wild.
And look, we're not talking about some small code snippet here. The leak exposed over 500,000 lines of code. To give you some perspective, that's almost 2,000 internal files. That's a massive amount of work in intellectual property just out there.
The reaction was, well, immediate and explosive. Within hours, developers were downloading it, tearing it apart, and just talking about it everywhere. It was like a gold rush for anyone curious about how these elite AI coding agents are actually built. It just sparked this total frenzy on GitHub that would kickstart a brand new project. So the source of all this chaos? It was an internal leak of a project called Claude Code from the AI company Anthropic. But, and this is key, this wasn't some dramatic hack or a major security failure. Nope. It was something way more ordinary, but with absolutely massive consequences.
Anthropic was actually pretty quick to explain what happened. They said, look, it was a simple human error in our release packaging process. So the really crucial point here is this was not a security breach and, most importantly, no sensitive customer data or credentials got out. But what did get out was a super rare, completely unfiltered look into how they build things. And that, right there, brings us to the community's response. Because while the company was trying to, put the toothpaste back in the tube, developers were already building. This is where the story pivots from just a leak to a full-blown open source movement, all centered around this new project called Claude Code. Now, what's totally nuts here is the speed. The leak starts spreading on the morning of March 31st. Just a few hours later, the same day, the first Python rewrite of the core ideas is already up on GitHub. By the next month, a much more serious rewrite in Rust is picking up steam. This wasn't a slow burn, it was an absolute wildfire.
So what even is Claude Code? Well, it's not a direct copy. The project is very clear that it's a clean room rewrite of the architecture and patterns from the leak. The original system, that Claude Code thing, was closed source and built in TypeScript. Claude Code, on the other hand, is open source, rewritten in Python and Rust, and it's all about rebuilding what they call the harness tools, basically the underlying workflow that makes the AI agent actually do its job. This project didn't just get a little attention, it went completely viral. And the reason everyone got so obsessed is because this leak gave them a rare, totally unauthorized peek behind the curtain of a real, state-of-the-art AI coding agent. Developers are basically treating Claude Code like a public laboratory. They're studying what they're calling harness engineering, the art of hooking up an AI model to tools and tasks. We're seeing people fork it to make the system work with any AI model, using services like OpenRouter. And others are creating these simplified educational versions, like mini Claude Code, just to teach the core ideas. And this just shows you why they're so fascinated. The leaks seem to reveal all sorts of juicy stuff: internal prompt instructions, details on memory architecture, and even some wild experimental features, like a Tamagotchi-style coding pet and a concept for an always-on agent called Kairos. This turned what could have just been boring code into a legitimate treasure trove of ideas. Okay, but let's ground this in a bit of reality. The hype is huge, but the project is still very much a work in progress. The project's own docs show that while the core engine is working in the Rust version, major features like plugins and whole command sets are still incomplete. It's a high-speed rebuild for sure, but it's not a finished product. Yet.
But this brings us to the most important part of this whole story. Because the real, lasting value here isn't the leaked code itself. It's the public reveal of the system that pulls all the strings around the AI model. This is the story of the harness.
So, what is an agent harness? Well, think of it like the life support system for an AI. It's all the plumbing and wiring that connects the model to tools, that manages its memory, that handles permissions, and that lines up its tasks. It's the thing that turns a model's raw text predictions into useful, actual actions in the real world.
And that is the core takeaway. The secret sauce, the real competitive edge in all these advanced AI tools, isn't just about having the most powerful model. It's about having a sophisticated harness. And now, because of this leak, the blueprint for one of those is out in the open. This exposure could have at least 3 huge effects. First, it gives open source builders a concrete example to work from, which just speeds everything up. Second, it encourages people to build harnesses that can work with any model, not just one company's. And third, it just raises the bar for everybody, because once the community sees what's possible, they're going to race to make it even better.
So what we're really seeing isn't just the birth of a cool new project, it's like an entire ecosystem is waking up. This one single event is inspiring a whole new way of thinking about how to build AI agents.
By making all these patterns and pieces visible, it demystifies how these complex agents actually work. Developers can now see them not as some kind of magic black box, but as a real software stack with reusable parts. This just lowers the barrier for everyone to build their own specialized agents. Of course, this whole story isn't without some tension. Anthropic has, understandably, sent takedown requests for the original leaked code. The community has responded by focusing on these clean room rewrites. The whole situation just lives in this fascinating gray area between open source excitement and copyright law, all while the AI competition is raging. And it really leaves us with this big question to think about. In an industry that's built on secrets, what happens when the secret sauce is suddenly on the public menu for everyone to taste? Remix. Ultimately, the leak was just the spark. The real story here is the harness. This whole event really signals a fundamental shift. The next generation of AI might not be defined just by closely guarded secret models, but by open and remixable architectures that anyone can build on. When it comes to the secret sauce of AI, the genie is now officially out of the bottle.